it's James here from goodguitarist.com, and in today's lesson we're going to show you how to play I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. This is a really simple tune. It just uses some basic open chords. You can find all of those in our free rhythm guitar ebook. If you find that you need help with those and you're not too familiar, we have a whole bunch of videos that show you just like one chord in a single video. It's really good if you need help with that kind of stuff. If you need help with chord switching, we have some chord switching practice. All of that is available for free with our ebook. You'll find a link to that below in the description. Now, before we get started, we need to put the capo on the 4th fret. So just get it all the way up, 1, 2, 3, 4, nice and close to the fret without going over it. Make sure that all the strings work. And make sure that you retune your guitar, make some fine adjustments. That way your playing will sound a lot better. That's the fastest way to sound better, is to just tune your guitar properly. And one more thing before we get started, if you find that you enjoy learning with us, I would really appreciate it if you could help support us, and that can be as simple as hitting the thumbs up down below, pressing subscribe. If you have any questions or anything to say, please leave a comment. I get back to the comments a few times a week myself, so I'll try to answer all your questions. We'll start off with the chord shapes. First, we have G, and for G, we can strum all the strings. Then we have a D chord, and that we're going to hit the top 4 strings. Now, when I'm changing from G to D, I'm always sure to leave down my 3rd finger. See how it stays in that spot? Sometimes chords will share the same finger in the same spot, and it's a really good idea to take advantage of that. It helps build your muscle memory, and it's a really easy way to switch between the 2 chords. If you want more help with that, I'll link a video down below where we go in depth on just switching between G and D. I really recommend just switching between 2 chords back and forth, especially if you're a beginner. You could go from each of the chords in this song, from G to D, D to E minor to C. That's the order we'll be playing them in, and it makes sense. That way you can work on those transitions between chords. Anyways, moving on from the D chord, our next chord is E minor. And for E minor, we can hit all the strings. And then we have C. And for C, we're only going to hit the top 5 strings. So avoid the lowest one. We'll get these other 5. And I was playing E minor with these 2 fingers. And when I switched to C, I was able to leave my middle finger down. So that's another one of those 2 chord shapes that share the same finger. So you can work on E minor to C, leaving that finger down. It's called a pivot finger. See, we're just pivoting on that finger. And that's a really good way to just nail your chord switches. So now that we know which chords we're going to be playing, let's figure out the chord order. We're going to start off on the G chord, and we're going to play it for 2 measures. That means we're going to count to 4 2 times for G. Let's try that together. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch to D. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Gonna switch to E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. And C. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're gonna be playing that chord progression for the majority of the song. This song only has 2 sections. The verse and the chorus use the same chords, same strumming pattern. There's just another part where he's going like do-ba-do-do-do-do-do. That part uses a different chord progression, which we'll get to in a second. But for now, I want you to just work on those 4 chords in that order, counting along a whole bunch until it's really easy for you to make the chord switches. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to really work out the switches. Remember to use those pivot fingers when you can, for E minor to C, keeping that 2nd finger down, G to D, keeping the 3rd finger down. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to really hammer out those chord switches and land them cleanly on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, Once you're comfortable with the switching, we can add a strumming pattern to it. So we're gonna do it on a G chord here, and it goes like this. It's really simple. I'm just going root, which means I'm hitting the lowest strings, just kind of getting it in the low zone, root, then down, up, down, up. When you put that together, you get root, down, up, down, up. And we can count it out to make sure that we're really getting the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm hitting the root on beat 1, 1, and then on beat 2, I'm doing a down, up, 2. For beat 3, I'm just waiting, 3, and then beat 4, another down, up. So I'll do it really slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you speed it up, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to make it sound just like the original recording, we can do something called palm muting. And that's where we use the fleshy part of our hand, just the edge of the hand here, and we touch the strings just beside the bridge. If you do it too far over, you just kill the strings entirely, There's a nice little sweet spot. Every guitar is different, but it's gonna be maybe a centimeter or half an inch over the bridge. We'll try it on a G chord. I'm just gonna kind of like karate chop the bridge, just really softly, and I pick at the same time. See, I'm doing like a karate chop and a pick at the same time. And the upstrokes aren't going to be palm muted so much. Since we're lifting our palm off, we're not going to get as much palm mute. And that kind of adds a cool feel. The upstrokes are a bit louder. It makes it more like upbeat. So just practice that a few times, especially for those down ups. And we can try that with the full pattern. And don't worry if this is too much for you. You can just play it without the palm muting. We're just adding that to make it a little bit more authentic. In the meantime though, it's way more important to get the actual strokes and the rhythm. So the palm muting is just icing on the cake. Don't worry about it if it's too much for you. So now that we have our chords, we have our strumming pattern. We're gonna put it all together. We'll do the strumming pattern 2 times on each chord. We can play it together. I'm gonna count us in nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's a couple points in the song where after playing the chord progression, he adds an A7 chord. And that's what I just did in our play along right there. It's really simple. The chord shape goes like this. We're not going to play the lowest string. And since we're coming from a C chord, we can actually take advantage of one of those pivot fingers once again. This song's loaded with that. So we can leave our second finger down. And that's it. So practice that switch from C to A7. There's a couple points in the song where he adds it. If you listen to the recording, it's really easy to spot. All we're gonna do is just do a downstroke and count. We're gonna count 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we continue the pattern as usual. So moving on, there's just one more part of this song that we need to learn. And to play this part, we need one new chord shape, and that's D over F sharp. We're gonna be switching to this chord shape from a G chord. So let's make our G shape. And we're gonna take advantage of our third finger, that's our pivot finger. We leave it down, put our first finger on the lowest string at the 2nd fret, and then place our 2nd finger. We don't want to hit the highest string. If you get it, it's not the biggest deal. It doesn't sound so bad, but it doesn't sound like the original recording. So try to ignore it if you can. And just practice that switch a few times. And once you're comfortable with that, we're going to take a look at the chord order for this section. We're going to start on G. We're going to play it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch to D over F sharp. 2, 3, 4. E minor. D. 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to play C for 2 measures. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A7 for 2 measures. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to use the same strumming pattern for this. So I think we're pretty much ready to go. Once you get that D over F sharp worked out, this should be no problem. So let's try it together now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's it for the whole tune. We just go between those 2 parts, and on the last chorus, there's a breakdown. That's pretty much the only other thing we need to finish off the rhythm part. And all you do for a breakdown is just strum the chord on beat 1 and count silently in your head. So, I can 1, 2, 3, 4. But time do 1, 2, 3, 4. Just counting in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we pick up the rhythm again. And that's all there is to it. So really simple, just listen to the original recording. It's the last chorus. It starts with just a downstroke and counting on each chord. And now we're ready to figure out the lead guitar part. So the rhythm part of this song was quite simple. The lead guitar part is a bit more intermediate, but it's not too difficult. So I'll start out by showing you the lead guitar part really slowly. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna have to do a technique called double stops, and that's where we're playing 2 notes at once on the guitar. And we'll start off by pressing down on the top 2 strings. We're going to press down the 3rd fret. So see why they're called double stops? We're playing 2 notes. So just try that, playing the 3rd fret on the top 2 strings, and that's the 3rd fret from the capo. So we imagine the capo is 0, 1, 2, 3. And this is the toughest part. We're going to slide both of these notes from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret. So work that out a few times. I find that when I'm practicing things like this over and over and over again, it tends to start kind of like cutting into my fingers. So you might need to take a break and give this one a few days. Don't get frustrated if it doesn't sound amazing right away. You have to get your finger a bit tougher, build up some more of that callus, and it'll get a lot easier. This is one of those things that I recommend just hammering away at every day. Anyways, we start on the 3rd fret, slide up to the 5th fret, and then we just play the 3rd fret again. Really simple. The next bit is pretty similar. We start out the same way, except afterwards we play these 2 notes. So that's the 2nd fret on the highest string and the 3rd fret on the next string. And that's just part of a D chord. That's where it comes from, and it's happening during the D chord when you put the 2 parts together. So recapping what we have so far. Next, we're going to leave this finger down and we're just going to switch our first finger to the second fret of the G string. So we have these two notes, the second fret on the G string and the third fret of the second string of the B string. And once again, we're going to slide it up 2 frets. And then we're going to play the second and third string open. So that part goes like this. And finally, the last bit goes like this. So we're plucking the second and third string open 2 times, and then hammering on the second string from open to the first fret. And the trickiest part about that is the rhythm. So I'll count it out for you. 1, 2, 3. So it happens right after beat 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So a couple off beats, a couple ands, and then it lands right on beat 1 with the hammer on. So putting it all together, and I'll do a little bit of counting here because it's really important to leave that space. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then you let that one hang at the beginning of the song. Later on, he'll play it through the verse, but for the very first verse, the lead guitar part kind of just fades out right when the words come in on that note. So that's how you play I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. If you enjoyed this lesson, once again, I'd really appreciate it if you took the time to hit the thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. And other than that, have a good one. I'll see you next time.